Hubie, what you look back now on the years at Five Star. The Five Star was the origin, a point of origin for so many of us in our coaching careers to different degrees and that. But when you look back on Five Star basketball camp, you know, tell us two or three of the things that you took away that have become, you know, lasting impressions on you. Some of the things you learned there, the different relationships.
Very first camp, two of the best players in the camp were waiters who could not make boys' high basketball team in Brooklyn, New York. 6,000 boys, 10, 11, and 12. Two of the best. They didn't have the grades. They both went to junior college. At the end of junior college, the one guy started at Syracuse, the other guy started at Texas. What did I learn? I learned at that five-star camp. Hey, don't tell me about where you played, what high school, how many points you scored, this and that. The competition in the camp was ferocious. Mm-hmm. Out of that camp of 80 guys, 3 guys played in the NBA. The best player in the camp was a left-handed kid who played for Marvin Kessler at Long Island High School. And he, at 6'3", was the best guard in the camp, and 2 guys who played in the NBA are in this camp. Okay? Because he wins the most valuable player. And he's supposed to be going now to the University of West Virginia. And he does a bank job right before, the week before he goes, with a couple of his guys. He takes 9 bullets.
Oh, my God.
And why, you say, why am I bringing this up? Because the basketball at that five-star camp, anytime a guy would come into that camp, and when I would do the lectures just like you, because I did them for 40 years, I went back every single year and did the lectures. I would tell them, there'd be 400 of them sitting there, and I'd say, you all think that you can do it. When I want you to go to that dining room area, and they're going to have all of the MVPs up there on that board. Now you look at them, and you're going to see guys that you know, the names, oh, NBA, All-American at so-and-so college. I remember that. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? And as you go down, half of the guys made it, and the other half, drugs, alcohol, what have you, lousy attitudes. And as you know, we would try to always end it, it's your decision. Which side of that MVP list do you want to be on? When you make this all-star team, man, are you going to be coachable? Because before you don't. And I'd always go back and say, see all these coaches here, right here? They've coached Moses Malone, Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas. And I said, Patrick Ewing. I would go through the list of the great ones that we've had there. I said, you're not going to impress them with how good you think you are here. That was the thing that blew my mind. Then the other part of it, George, the players were, what they would do. Kids, I'll never forget that 5'7" kid who came from Wisconsin. He came from a little Catholic school outside of Milwaukee, and he played for that legendary Irish coach there. He came to the camp at 5'7", and everybody said, what is this kid going to do in the NBA level against all of these killers? And I'll never forget him. He would dive head first on that macadam, head first. All week long, he had cuts and bruises all over. And our very good friend, who coached at Penn, and then went to Oregon, Dick Harder. Dick Harder gave him a scholarship, and that kid started for him for 3 years out there. And that's what five-star was. Five-star, they divided you by your heart. And the last thing I'd just like to say this. Well, what kind of talent did we have? One night, Tom McCory and I are doing the All-Star game out there, 400 guys circling the court. The lights are on, and I go to Tom. I said, Tom, did you see today the Parade magazine just came out today with the top 5 teams, the top 25, 25 players. I said, do you realize I'm going to throw the ball up? We have 9 of them starting in this game here tonight. 9 of the 25 are here tonight.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, John Thompson's guys were there,
Yes.
and Morgan's guys were there.
Yeah.
And people say, how good was the talent? Well, that's just for opening. We're not even talking about the guys on the bench, okay?
Well, and the thing about 5-star camp is, if you go back through the history, there were few, if any, great players who didn't go through 5-star camp, and that was almost like the good housekeeping seal, was to be able to say that you went to 5-star camp and made the All-Star team. That was a badge of honor for you in those days, and I used to just enjoy going, not so much as to evaluate talent as to listen to the you guys lecture. I learned more standing alongside the courts in those days, listening to the lectures and understanding the little nuances of the game than I did in any other aspect of exposure to the game. That the camp was just a must stop for you during the summertime. And you guys who work there on a continual basis, I don't think you'll ever really truly realize the positive impact that you had on so many of our lives. Those not only the kids who attended, but the coaches who came to observe. They always went away a little bit more knowledgeable about the game than when they came there. And that. Let me ask you this. When you look back on your high school coaching career, let's just confine it to the high school part for right now. What are some of the things you're the proudest of as a coach?
Well, we had a ton of success in baseball. And a lot of these kids went on to start and play on really good college baseball teams. Mm-hmm. In the basketball situation, when I went to Fairlawn, the fact that when I started, I went up there and they had losing seasons forever. Mm-hmm. Because 6 state wrestling champions the year before were from Fairlawn High School. So the gym sat 2,000. Sellouts for wrestling. And my first game that I coached there were 110 people in the arena, okay? Mm-hmm. When we left, we were back in the gym. But it took 3 years of taking guys to the 5-star camp, playing all those sophomore kids, getting killed for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it comes together. That off of that team, those kids, all 5 kids played. 4 of them played Division I, and the other guy played Division II. That to me was a major accomplishment, that we were able to do that. Then on the football side, the football was really great. Because if you played basketball for me, you had to play either football, soccer, or cross country in the fall. Or I wouldn't let you play basketball. Then in the spring, if you didn't play, you had to play golf, tennis, track, baseball. You didn't do that, you had to be on the lacrosse team because this guy was so good. And you say, well, why did you do that? Because we had so many outstanding coaches at the school. I wanted you to be affected by other coaches. Because if you would have said to me in my freshman year at St. Mary's High School, you can only play one sport. Well, I was on the varsity as a freshman. We won the state championship. Yeah. I only would have played baseball because that was my game. I never would have played basketball or football. So I always would use that. And it's interesting because back then I read an article in one of the sport magazines. Out of 2,500 kids playing high school basketball in the country, 1 out of 2,500 get a Division I scholarship. So I would tell these guys that are going to play for me, if that is so, if they're the odds for you, I want you because you're a good athlete. I want you to play other sports. And I always use this one kid for, and I wouldn't use his name, but he was 5'8". He was quick as a cat as a sophomore. Tough kid. And I could see he's probably not going to grow, but he can't beat out these other guards that I had that were playing now for 2 years for me. So I said, you've got to come back now, and I want you to come out in football, and I want you to play defensive halfback because I'm losing my safety, who's going to Rutgers on a full scholarship. I said, because we're going to make you a defensive safety in football. And then I said, and then you're going to play lacrosse. And I'll never forget it. He looks at me in my office. Can I do something which is really funny?
No, go ahead.
You sure? He looks at me, and he's sitting by the door like this. And I'm sitting behind my desk over there. And he says, are you finished? I goes, yeah. He goes, what do you think, I'm fucking crazy? And he opens the door and he leaves. That's so help me God, George.
Wow.
Okay? We come back to school in September. He's all league as a junior. And his senior year, he's an all-state safety. In lacrosse, he becomes one of the best attack guys in lacrosse, okay? And he goes to Kansas, and he plays football, and he plays lacrosse, okay? Owns a trucking company. They have the reunion of the '67 team that was undefeated, and 38 of the 52 guys came back. And here he comes, and I'm with Claire, and he, as soon as he sees me, he's duded out in a beautiful suit and everything. He gets down the hall, he goes, fuck you, man, I am not playing football in lacrosse. and you know what I'm saying? Now, if we didn't let him do that, he never would have, who knows what the hell would have happened, because he loved basketball.
Yes.
So to me, the fact that we pushed them out into other sports and they went on football scholarships, some of them went on lacrosse scholarships, that to me is what you're supposed to do when you're a high school coach. Not just grind them and hold them, that the only sport they can play is your sport, and then all of a sudden their athletic ability and their body growth as they're going up in that is really better suited for other sports. Now, a lot of coaches, they'll never agree with that, okay? Not in our present society. They don't want to hear that. But I believe that that's what you owe the player who plays for you. An opportunity to further his education and hopefully free on a scholarship.
And also to give him an opportunity to discover his true skill sets in a variety. While he might excel in one, he's equally or pretty good in a lot of variety of other sports. And so I think you really give a young man a chance to have a balanced perspective of his skill sets in that.